Does the idea of implementing systems in your business freak you out a little? Perhaps you think that your business isn't big enough for them or that it's maybe not worth the investment of your time. Implementing systems in my own business has been a game changer. It's allowed me to outsource more quickly, be more efficient, and just feel like I've kind of got things under control. Basically, it's helping me to achieve freedom and success, which are two reasons I started my business in the first place. My guest today on this episode is Nicola Depiazzi, and she's a systemology expert, which is a 7-step framework used to define, build, and integrate your systems. I love her advice around becoming a systems thinker and how to bring this to your content, and how systems can enhance creativity and reduce burnout. If you've been resisting the idea of systems in your business or have a reluctance at investing time into them, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 123 of the Powerful Content Podcast. It's so lovely to have you here with me today. And today I have an amazing guest with me, Nicola Depiazzi, founder of Green Pillars Co. Welcome to the podcast, Nicola.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here.
It is, and it's so lovely because we have known each other for quite a few years. I think we first connected back in 2021 through a mutual friend. And then I was on your podcast that you had at the time, the Whole Woman podcast. Now, you've actually changed your focus since then. So I'd love to know a little bit about your journey and what has brought about this shift in your own business.
Yes, I've done a big pivot, which has been really interesting. Yes, so like most women and mums, I started my own marketing consultancy after quite a few years in the corporate world because I had young children. You can tell from my accent I'm English, so I had very little family support in terms of helping with the kids and pickups and all that kind of stuff. So working from home seemed to be the best option for me. So I started a marketing consultancy. I picked up clients really quickly. I'm still in the sort of tourism and hospitality world. I was working with a cafe restaurant and a brewery and a hotel, and it was great. I was really enjoying it. And then, I'm not sure why really, I ended up doing my NLP training, and then that turned into coaching mums in business. And I wanted to offer a sort of one-to-many model. So I started a membership called the Thriving Business Mums Club and started my podcast that you came on. But somewhere along the line, I just sort of ran out of motivation and I sort of fell out of love with what I was doing a bit, and working from home, I was finding a bit isolating. So I ended up going back to the workforce for a year as a marketing manager at a new venture here in Western Australia called Origins Market. And that was fabulous. I loved it, but it was really tricky being tied to other people's hours, having bosses again. I didn't really enjoy having managers that I had to answer to. So I was sort of keeping an eye out for something I could do, being self-employed again. And also my family and I made a decision to spend most of last year in the UK. So we were in the UK from March till early January this year. And so I really wanted something that I could be doing while I was over there. And so, yeah, systemology fell in my lap, a friend of a friend. And I got on board. I loved the whole idea of it. It just ticked a lot of boxes for me. It took me to that next level of accountability. So I was already focusing a lot on coaching mums in business to make the most use of their time. I called myself a client attraction coach. So you want to attract your clients through your digital marketing and have all the process in place so that you could do it in your limited time, because mums generally work within school hours or when the kids are at daycare or when they're napping, that sort of thing. And so I was focusing very much on productivity and our habits and how we procrastinate and our mindset and how that affects us. So yeah, alongside of that, I've gone on quite a big sort of personal development journey, and I'm really fascinated by what makes us tick and how we work and the language we use and how that affects us in our day-to-day lives and in our business. So yeah, Systemology came, and now that is what I do. I'm a systemologist.
I love that story, and it's such a journey. And I love the fact that, well, I don't love the fact that you fell out of love and you ran out of motivation for your first business, but I love the fact that you identified that. I think a lot of us often feel that way and try and push through and push through and push through until we really, really, really despise our businesses and what we do. So I love the fact that you had identified that and then went back into the workforce and worked for someone else again. I soon realized that that wasn't for you at all.
Yeah, I think it's good to do it to realize what you don't want. I mean, the role itself was really challenging and I loved it and I got a lot from it. But yeah, it very much made me realize that I wanted to be my own boss. So here we are.
And now you bring this wealth of experience and knowledge to the table in a slightly different light. I think that that's really amazing how you can combine all of your skills and knowledge and experience to become a systemologist. So we're obviously talking about systems today. And I feel like for a lot of my listeners who are those big-hearted entrepreneurs, systems and the idea of systems can be a little bit daunting, and they even might even feel a bit counterintuitive for them as well, because they're based on, they're all about the relationships and being in the flow. So systems might seem a little bit out of their comfort zone for them. So I'd really love for you to, if you could, please, Nicola, explain what exactly are systems and why are they so important to our business and life?
Yes, absolutely. It's funny that you say that, because there is this kind of real myth that systems remove creativity and remove any kind of fluidity in your business. And actually the opposite is true. So if you start systemizing some of your repeatable tasks and the things that should just come easily, then it actually opens up more space for you to think creatively and to have those moments of sort of deep thinking, because everything else just happens automatically or on repeat, as it should, and consistently. So like most businesses, when you first start, you have absolutely no need for systems at all. When it's just you get on with what you're doing and you're doing your day-to-day tasks and you're creating your output and you're making money, and you don't need systems because it's just you. But when businesses grow, and if you are in a business that, has big ambition, and then you'll start to get a team on board, or you might employ a VA or outsource some marketing or outsource your bookkeeping, and then you might get another person on board. And it's at that point that you really need to be documenting all of the how-to knowledge of what is happening in your business and how it's running. And that's where I come in. That's where I work with business owners that have sort of reached capacity in their time, but not just their time. They're realizing that it's costing them a lot not to do their systems. They're missing out on things. They can't take opportunities. Their relationships might be failing. They, not seeing their family enough, all that kind of stuff. So I come in to help them document what is happening in their business so that we capture best practice, so that everything in the business, and particularly the way they make money, because cash flow is king. So the way that a customer interacts with your business through the customer journey, basically from the very beginning right the way through to going through the sales process, to having the product or service delivered, to then sort of how the money exchanges, and then any kind of repeat system to get people to repeat business with you. We document that so that it happens absolutely consistently and on repeat every single time. And then once that's done, you can delegate the task. You can know that your team are doing it the way you want it done, that you can know everyone's doing it to the same gold standard that you expected when it was just you working in the business. And, you don't have to have the team in your office. Like I said, it could just be an outsourced something or other. So if you outsource your marketing to an agency, what happens if you then want to switch and not work with that agency anymore? You've then got to onboard a new agency, and we want to do that as quickly and seamlessly as possible because your profits is directly related to how productive and efficient you are. And also, if you're having to find new people or onboard new staff or find new agencies, that's also going to affect your productivity, which therefore affects how much time you can be putting into your business. So I'm not sure if I answered your question because I can't remember what the question was, but that is why we focus on systems because, at some point your business reaches a point where you just need to get that information out of your head. You cannot be micromanaging everything, and it is a lot about talking to business owners about mindset and their leadership because their businesses are our babies. We start them, we love them, like we do our own children sometimes. And so you do need to let people understand that they can relinquish some control. They can trust their team to do things for them so that they can be focusing more on what is going to grow the business. So we want to be focusing on growth activities. So building those lasting relationships, putting in tenders for new contracts, finding new clients, working with JVs and building partnerships, all the networking, all the stuff that actually is going to help you grow your business.
Amazing. So I think that there's a lot of things that I can pull out of what you've just said there, Nicola. And one of them is that systems is not just about the computer solution. I think that sometimes we think about systems as being what is that app that we're using, what is the tool that we're using on our computers in order to automate, I guess, our business. It's not just about that. It's actually about people too. It's about understanding where you are at the moment, where you want to be with your business and finding that way to actually get there as well. And I really love that you opened that explanation with a myth, and that myth being that systems remove the creativity and fluidity in your business. But like you said, it doesn't. And I think that that's a really important thing to note for people, that systemization does not equal dehumanization. It really is about giving yourself that breathing space and that ability to be more strategic in your business rather than stay stuck where you are right now. And you mentioned, people getting to that space where they feel like they're overwhelmed or they're not, spending time doing the things that they really want to do, which may include family and friends. It's all about their business. And we do get to a space where we get so consumed by our business that something needs to be done. And I thoroughly agree with you that systemization is like one of the most important steps in our journey. So Nicola, if systemization or implementing systems or framework in our business is so important for our well-being, for our business growth, what parts of our business can we actually systemize?
All of it.
You're right.
Yeah, all of it, honestly. Ideally, you can't do that on day one. And that's, I think, what stops people. That's another myth that we like to bust, is that it's so overwhelming. You don't know where to start. There are thousands of systems that I'm running in my business every day. And I think that is something that people assume to be true, but actually isn't. And we really narrow, when I work with a client, we really narrow their focus into focusing primarily, to start with, on their customer journey. So we look at their marketing, sales, operations, a little bit of finance. So those sort of 4 departments basically in the business. And then that's a starting point. Once we get that optimized and working beautifully, then we can move on to some of the other systems, which might involve HR, diving deeper into finance, administration, management, or kind of systems. But initially, we want to just work out exactly how the business is making money and do it on repeat consistently every single time. So that's where we start. But you're right in that people assume often that what I do is all about automations. It's about installing loads of tech and making it all happen automatically so you don't have to do it. But that is part of it, but that comes later down the track. It's what I do, this documenting the knowledge, is stopping your business from being key person dependent. It's getting all the knowledge that's in people's heads into documented systems that you can then pass on. And then you secure it. So you're future-proofing your business. Because the amount of business owners I talk to that have had people in roles who've then walked out the door and all the knowledge goes with them, whether they're going on maternity leave or, something, the unthinkable happens and they have an accident or, whatever. And if it's the business owner who has the accident, then it's even worse because they literally do have all the knowledge in their heads. So we want to secure that vital information. And so automations does come into it, but that's much later on. This is the step before. We want to get all of that information.
And I love how you say that systemization is about not being key person dependent. I think that a lot of us live in the moment with our businesses. And I would love for you to just speak to that, if you could, about thinking about the future and how systems can play a role in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, whenever you start a business, even if you are in a small one-man band sort of business now, you should always have an exit strategy from the very beginning. Where are you thinking of getting to? What is the big plan? And I must admit, I didn't really do that when I had my marketing consultancy. I was playing quite small. I was just even describing myself as this small little marketing company, and I didn't kind of ever put myself out there, which is a journey I've gone on with my personal development and my mindset work. But yeah, so in systemology, we talk about 4 stages of systemization. And generally when we work with people, companies fall into one of the 4 stages. So the first is not a great place to be. It's what we call the bottleneck. It's exactly what I've just described. It's where the business owner is controlling everything. There's no documented system. All the team are just kind of making things up because they've never been told or expectations haven't been set of kind of how they should be doing things. Completely winging it. There's, not enough hours in the day. And you're really actually completely at capacity. And then we move into the stationary section. So businesses have seen some growth, but they've reached capacity, can't go any further. Growth in the business has totally plateaued. So there might be a little bit of systemization, but it's all very clunky. And then we go into scalable. Now we're told all the business books tell us we need systems. All the business books also tell us that what we're aiming for is to get to scale. We want to grow. How are you going to scale your business? And that's awesome. And it means that your performance is kind of good. You're doing quite well at this stage. You've probably documented a few things. You've got more staff. You are able to perform quite well, but not excellent. And then really what we want to get people into is so that their business is running as if it's saleable. And so that's our aim by documenting the system. So you really, even if you're in day 5 of your business, you want to be running your business as if you could sell it tomorrow. And that means that it is running like a well-oiled machine. Everything is working with precision. You've got everything documented. People know where to find the systems. They can find them within 30 seconds. They are used every day. They're integrated through the business. And it just means that then gives you options as a business owner. And that's what we want from our businesses, isn't it? I mean, how many people get trapped in the very thing that was meant to bring them freedom? We start businesses because we're looking for that, not being trapped in someone else's time frame or being told what to do and where to be. So we're like, yeah, I'm going to start my own business. But so quickly we become trapped in it. But when you run a business in that saleable mode, it just means that you can take opportunities if they come up. You can go on an extended holiday with your family every summer. You can take time off when you want to. You can be at your kids' events. You can make time for your passions. Or you could remove yourself from the business and get a manager in. Or if the right price or person came along, you could sell it. But you want to be able to do it so that it is already prepared. I'm actually working with a client now who is preparing her business for sale. And she knows she needs to do it. She knows she needs to get the information out of her head. She is just a one-man band, so we're working very slowly through the process. But it's a shame really that the benefit of doing this is going to be for the next people, not for her, because she has been trapped as the only person that can do everything. All the knowledge is in her head. She's completely flat out, completely tied to her business. But she knows that she needs to do this to be able to get the best price for it. But really, if you're running your business in that saleable section, business is much more enjoyable. It's much more profitable. And it's just much more fun, basically, because you're not tearing your hair out all the time and putting out spot fires constantly and correcting errors that are continually happening.
What a change in mindset. What a change in mindset it is to work your business or operate your business from that idea of it being saleable. This is a real aha moment for me personally.
So when I learned it, it blew my mind. I was like, yes, of course. Yeah.
Because like you said, we are constantly told that the scalable side of things is where we should be heading. Like we should be doing one-to-many programs. We should be doing memberships and making our business scalable, which is great because that growth does bring in more profit, more revenue. But when we operate from that scalable perspective, that's just like a whole different perspective of running your business, because you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about how to extract yourself, you're thinking about how you could go, like you said, on holidays without the business falling apart. It really is a different way of thinking.
And now people I speak to who go on holiday, but then they're constantly having to check their emails or they're on their phone, and with the way the world is now, with technology and the internet available in our pockets 24/7, it's very hard to switch off. And I don't want that for people. I want people to be able to have the freedom to run a business, their own business, and work towards something that is for them, but not to get so trapped that they then can't have the freedom that they were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Nicola, you use the term system thinker a lot in your content and when you speak about systemization. What does that actually mean to be a systems thinker, and how do you think that we could bring that idea to our content?
Yeah, so basically, not only do I teach people how to document their systems and have a business that's running like a well-oiled machine, but it's sort of a two-pronged attack. You want to do it for the business, but you also want to look at yourself as a person and going back to that kind of productivity habits and being somebody that sees things as systems all the time. So that's what being a systems thinker is about. It's just really having an awareness. But basically, it means that we can identify problems, but we also look to solve them. So we have this sort of slightly bigger picture thinking. It's about being really curious, to want to make change, to want to make things better, to challenge the status quo, but also just find solutions that are innovative, but also that work for you, or not just you, but everybody that is involved in the system that takes place. Because we're all running systems daily in our personal lives and in our business. Whether you like it or not, your business is run through systems. It's just that you may not be aware of them when you haven't written them down. Everything that we do, from the order of the way we get dressed in the morning, to how we make our toast, to how, like, every single thing we do is a system. It's just that some of it becomes really habitual, so you don't think of it. So it's just having that awareness to stop and go, okay, how could this be better? This isn't really working and it's ongoing. It still hasn't been resolved. It's still an issue. Let's stop, have a think, map it out. How can we best make solutions? How can I involve everyone involved, make it better? So it comes into kind of leadership thinking as well, not just from the top down thinking, right, this is how it's going to be now. You want to get your people involved. People support what they've helped to create. So it's not just right, we need a new way of doing this and this is how it's going to be and this is the new system, because that will just be met with resistance. And because you're asking people to change the way they behave, and change management is a tricky space and can be difficult. You do end up getting a bit of resistance sometimes from certain people, especially if they're not those sort of logical thinkers and people that love that problem solving and have that way of looking at life. So yeah, it's just about problem solving basically. And the reason we do it is because it just creates more success. I mean, it's just what we talked about, going into that scalable and then saleable. If you're running your business with a systems mindset and with that systems thinking, then you're constantly looking for ways to improve, make things better, have a deeper understanding of situations and things that are going on in your business. You're securing your future, you're becoming a better leader, and generally you just get more success.
Yeah. I love how you said that being a systems thinker is probably around two main things. One is the awareness that there is something that's not quite right and that needs to be fixed. But the second is stopping, actually stopping and making time to think about the best and the most innovative solution. I know that all of us feel like we're often too busy. There's too many things going on in our business, in our lives, to be able to stop and make that time and space. But it really does benefit you so much more down the future in terms of saved time. So it's really, really worth that investment. I've got actually a quick example, Nicola, of doing that in your business. I've recently done that with my podcast. I've made my podcast the main source of my core content. And I just really took time to stop and think about what are all the steps that I take? How does my team interact with that? What else could I hand off to my team in terms of those particular steps? And how could I make better use of the content that I've already got? So really implementing that system has amplified my ability to reimagine my content into other places as well. So if you are feeling like you're really stuck and overwhelmed at the moment, then what I'm hearing, Nicola, is that implementing a system can actually help.
100%. Yeah. And you asked me about how you would then put that systems thinking into, say, your content. Well, it just basically comes down to the fact that we have much greater success with things when there is a system involved. Because there's a logical set of steps to follow. And that's how I describe a system. It's a consistent set of steps that, when followed, produce a consistent outcome. And that's basically what we're doing. And I'll give you an example in my private life. I'm training for a half marathon at the moment, and I've never really taken running that seriously before. Like, I've done a bit here and there, done the odd 5K. And then just like completely stopped after that. I did one 10K once, but I had to run, walk it because I didn't prepare properly. And so this time, people say, oh, you need to set your goals and take action. And then they stop, take action. And I'm like, that's all very well. But if there's no system in place for how you then take action, you're going to just fall on your feet again. And so we rely on willpower or motivation, which last about 10 days, and then we fall in a heap again. So it's the system behind things. So when it comes to your work, take content, for example, and this is what I used to teach people when I was working back in the day, my old business, is having a system is going to make you a lot more efficient. It's going to have greater success, and it's going to produce the results you're looking for. So what doesn't matter what that looks like for you, whether you have somewhere to write content ideas, and then that leads into a content calendar, and then you set a day aside to create your actual content, your posts, and whatever it is your main content is, or you write your blog posts, like what if you have like a hero piece of content, however your system looks like, it doesn't really matter. There's no one set rule. It's just that turn what you're doing into a system, document it with links to all the things that you need to get access to really quickly. So you're not also wasting 10 minutes digging around in your computer looking for the right folders and the thing you need again. It makes it really simple and easy for you to have that system, and then repeat it consistently and you will see greater success.
Yeah, I love that. I love it so much. The systems really do support you to be consistent. And when it comes to content in particular, consistency is definitely key. Well, thank you so much for explaining everything about systems today and how we can be more successful with systems in place, and the fact that it does really help us to become more creative in our businesses despite what we may think. It really does. Nicola, I would love to know, before we finish up today, I'm all about women owning and using their superpowers. So what would you say is your superpower?
Yeah, well, initially I was thinking probably quite small fry, because that's what we tend to do about ourselves. And that my superpower is that I'm thoughtful and I have an awareness of what people are going through. And I like to be quite understanding, sort of feel empathy for them and their situation. And I think I do that quite well, but sometimes to my detriment. Like, I'm not firm enough with people sometimes. But also, I think just through this sort of systems thinking, it's become really clear to me that I am a sort of process systems thinker, big picture thinker, and I'm able to take big problems, or they don't even have to be big problems, but a situation or challenge, and work with it to make sense of it and pop something out the other side that makes sense to people.
Beautiful. And I would totally agree with that, Nicola, as well. You are definitely a big picture thinker, but able to break it down and make it so easy for people to understand. So before we finish up, is there anything else you would like to add? Any final parting words of wisdom?
Well, start today is my tip, because it's systems we know is the sort of thing that people realize are important, but you're so busy working in your business on the day-to-day stuff that it just shifts to the bottom of the to-do list all the time. So try to get over that idea that it's really overwhelming and time consuming, and just break it down. Look at what you do on repeat all the time. And if it's something that's a recurring thing, but it's also an issue for you and you're struggling to make sense of things, then yeah, just do that. Stop, look at what's not working, start with the end in mind, and then, what is it you want to achieve? And then literally document what it is you're doing to help you get there, and then repeat it over and over and over. But you have to start, it doesn't happen overnight. And I am here to support people through that process if they'd like. I am a systemologist, so I work in the systemology world, and I'm very happy to give any of your listeners one of the systemology books for free. And they just need to go to my website, which is greenpillarsco.com/systemology-book. And they can fill out a form on my website, and I'll pop the book in the post to them so they can find out how to do it for themselves.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for that amazing offer. I will make sure that the link is in the show notes, so if anyone wants to go and learn more about it. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating standout content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes, or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Pop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content. And working with Nicola, they can. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing your wisdom with my listeners. I truly appreciate you being here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.